Okay. It has been a crazy week. I can't wait till I can stop saying that to you guys. Imagine when I can stop saying it's been a crazy week. I can't. Oh, I can't wait for that. But whew, crazy. Still got stuff we're trying to figure out. Mm, I'm not. The headspace is not. We're just not. We're just not right now. But we are going to get into this because those who can't do, talk about it. If rest is something you're learning, not mastering, Pure Tifa Cafe was made for you. Books by indie authors, hand blended teas, candles, and rituals you can take home with you. It's a bookstore, a holistic self care space built for soft moments and real life. Visit puretifa.com to shop now and use code UNBOTHERED at checkout to receive 10% off. Pure Tifa Cafe. Take the cafe home. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, Unbothered fam. You guys are back for another episode of Basically Unbothered Recapped. And for the first time in, let's say, 3 weeks, I am not suffering from medication withdrawal. I am not suffering from exhaustion. I'm not suffering from any of those ailments. A win is a win. A win is a win, even though you can't tell, but I'm not. We're good. We are we are good over here. Mostly life updates. Nothing much has been happening. I am worried about work. I don't know. I don't know if it's just like the fear in me talking, but I'm very worried about work. And I just have a bad feeling, or I'm afraid that something will go bad, and it's really making me really nervous. Um, because that is what I do. That is how I support myself. So I don't know. I think that I do spend a lot of time worrying and things that don't really need to be worried about, or things that are probably aren't really an issue. They just feel like an issue in my head. And so that's kind of going on with things. And always, as always, the worry of money. Try to be as honest with you guys as possible. You know that I am going through a bankruptcy right now. That is not fun. And it's just been so dramatic. Everything's just feels so dramatic. And I just want to go back to a time where things were like a bit more relaxing. That part, that would be nice if we just had a little bit more of relaxing times. I think that I would feel a little bit better. I'm kind of just tired of feeling tense and tired every week and having to put out fires every week and drama and chaos. And I could really use a vacation. I could really use a vacation. And I got that funny fluttering in my chest that's like, it's going to come sooner than you think. Thank Moses. Thank Moses. All right, let's get into things that I've done. Have I finished a book? You guys are cute. You know I can't function when I'm going through it. I have not finished a book. I did start a new audiobook. Um and it's about grammar because I am finally going to try to confront my grammar woes. Guys, I don't know if you know this about me, but I am not the most grammarful person. I don't really do well with grammar, and I struggle with that as a writer. And while I am in my current position and I'm not in a position to be able to have an editor yet, I I need to up my game up, you know? This is something that I care about. Writing is something that I care about. And in the past, I've been so afraid to confront it, mostly because I think that if I confronted it, then it would mean that my books are bad, and it would justify the fact that people haven't supported them. And that makes me really, like, I'm being 100%, that makes me so freaking nervous. The idea that I'm just not good enough. Those are like I've said this so many times before. That's like those are my big, big triggers, not being good enough. And so, that translates into my books. And my biggest fear is always that when my books aren't selling, when people aren't buying them, that signifies that my books just aren't good enough. Even though I get all of these reviews, I'm just so afraid. And I'm ready to conquer that fear. I'm ready to take control. I'm ready to not let it prevent me from becoming better and realizing that that doesn't mean anything about my books. What it means is that I can grow. All of us human beings, we all have aspects in our lives where we need to grow. And I'm nervous. I have nervous flutters in my chest again. I'm anxious about that. And who knows? Maybe I'll realize that I know more than I think naturally. And we'll see how it goes. Other than that, I've just been working. My Valentine's Day was just as eventful as all of you could have imagined, because it wasn't. I was so exhausted, I ended up having to cancel podcasting, and I laid in bed all day. That did not work out well for me in my personal life. That caused a lot of drama, which caused me to just get really depressed throughout that weekend. And, on top of that, I say this so many times. When you lose someone, every single holiday, like every single first holiday that you have without them just hurts. And I've been having to confront the fact that I'm really lonely. You know, I don't talk much about the reasons why people have left my life recently. I try to protect them, which sounds really silly, but I don't know. I did the gossip about other people in my podcast, and that just did nothing for me. Truly and honestly, I'm not going to shy away from talking about what they did in a certain aspect, but I'm not going to gossip about it either. They know what they did. They did what they did, and at the end of the day, the consequences that come from those actions are theirs to have to deal with, and I have no control over that. There's none of my business, as I like to say a lot. It's just none of my business. But for a second, I thought that someone liked me and I liked someone. And then I realized that, oh, no, I am not in a place to like anybody. I am not in the part of my life where that's even a feasible thing. It The idea of it was nice, the idea of not being lonely for a second was nice, not having to feel like I'm alone right now, but the reality of, if this is where my mind is gonna go, that means I'm just not there yet. I'm just not prepared, and I need to spend more time developing myself and developing who I am, and I'm glad that I have people, coworker who called me out on my shit, and I'm glad that I can continue to develop and grow and make mistakes and learn from them instead of just keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. That's just not It's not something I'm interested in anymore. But that doesn't mean for a little bit longer I have to experience these feelings of loneliness. And the good thing is that I want connection, right? I want to be connected to people again, because if you would have asked me 2 months ago, the idea was like, no, there's no way. And even with so many people betraying me and feel like being stabbed in the back, the fact that I still want connection with people seems like I'm headed in the right direction, even though it's scary, even though the thought of it makes me literally want to cry. And I think I want to cry because there's parts of me that is healing. There are parts of me that are healing. And while that's going on, it's not easy. It feels painful. It doesn't feel like you're winning anything. It feels like you're just losing, just simply losing all the time. And sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to lose, and then sometimes you find your way through it. But that's what's been going on with me. Let's talk about what has been going on in the world. So today we are going to cover what I'm going to consider is like the first half of Love is Blind Ohio. Again, frustration because I have a feeling they've already recorded Detroit, especially since they were in Ohio, and I'm not on it. Or ignore the part where I just said I'm not ready for a relationship. My only frustration is they're not gonna come back to Detroit. They have there's 50 freaking states in all of this. The likelihood that they're gonna come back to Detroit, I'm not seeing it in my dating lifetime. So my opportunity to get on that specific show is just wrapped. Whatever. I don't know if there's another love, like actual dedicated love reality TV show. I would love to be on a reality TV show. I don't know why. I don't know why. I just feel like I'd probably be hated. I probably would be the villain. I am too honest or whatever, but at the end of the day, I just feel like I have the personality to really go through with that. But outside of that, who knows? We don't know. But I am going to be covering Love is Blind Ohio today. Oh, and when I guys, so much is going on. So when I was like, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna record Love is Blind. Then I'm like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot the American Next Top Model documentary is coming out on Netflix. And everybody is talking about this. And I need to figure out how to get my shit together so I can be on the up and ups about this. And I've been seeing so many memes. Some of the criticism I've seen on other podcasts, on social media, is just that, Tyra, there hasn't honestly been much given away, but the biggest thing is that they feel like Tyra isn't honest. She's not apologetic. She feels no shame for what she's done. There's been a documentary that came out before about the mistreatment of the models that were on the show. And there is no, I guess they feel like accountability in Tyra. And I'm excited to watch that. Hopefully I will get to it this weekend. Cause again, I'm behind. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I was watching Love is Blind and then was like, okay, I have 5 episodes. Then look back, was like, why is there 9 episodes now? And that's because they dropped the new season. And I'm like, no, no. Honestly, this is the best for me because I hate when they drop all the episodes and then it's right before they do the final like wedding part. I also really hate the wedding part. I usually skip most of it because it's just freaking pointless. Most of it is just, I think that we are, and I love that this is, and I'm hoping that this is, and then they get on to the like wedding podium and they're like, no. So we're just gonna wait. So that is coming. But before we get into that, let's talk about some shows that have been announced that are gonna drop. Scrubs. Hold your applause. Let's all just freak out in our head slowly out loud. My gosh. What do you mean to tell me that Scrubs is getting a reboot? Scrubs is coming back. OG cast of Scrubs is coming back. I have to look it up. When is Scrubs coming? Where's my phone? When is Scrubs coming back? We immediately need to know. Immediately need to know because when my dad first told me, I said, there's no way. You're just lying to me. And he said, no, there is. And I couldn't think of something that we needed more in this current climate than a Scrubs reboot. So they're showing me the old stuff. Show me the new stuff. Scrub revival. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. I feel like it's coming out really soon. I don't think it's going to be something I cover. Just because I think that there's something I really want to watch on my own, something that I really want to enjoy on my own, and it's not something that I wanna cover, it's just something that I wanna be for me. Some things just have to be for me. February 25th, so very soon, and I'm just gonna watch it for my own enjoyment. Might make a comment about it, but when I watch these shows, I'm taking notes, I'm paying attention, I'm critical thinking, and sometimes I want to just not do that. Like, when I go home tonight, I'm watching Rizzoli and Isles, and I'm turning my brain off, and I'm not critical thinking. I'm literally just existing for a little bit because I really, truly need that in my life. What other shows got announced? Pride and Prejudice is gonna be a Netflix show. They just announced their cast. I've looked at it. It's diverse, which I enjoy, but I'm preparing myself for all of the noise and the chaos or whatever, which is fair, but not fair at the same time. We should have more diverse casts, but Jane Austen was not in a living in a diverse world. So it's just a weird thing. I am more like we should have more stories that just are diverse instead of making stories diverse. But I am excited to see a diverse cast. I'm excited to see representation in all forms show up. We also have Gossip Girl. It is rumored that they are gonna do kind of like an early years Gossip Girl, but it's going to be focused on Blair, which I know that Serena was kind of like a fan favorite, but Blair's always taken the stage. People love her the most, and I think that out of all of the characters, having a background storyline about a character, Blair fits. It makes sense. I could see it. I would watch it. So her life seemed to be the most interesting, even on the show, the stuff with her mom and her dad and all of the feelings. And that was a good storyline for her to have in the show. So I would love to see her, giant house or her giant level of an entire apartment building, whatever you want to call it, all of that and what her life will look like. So I'm excited for that to come to be. That'll be really interesting. So I thought about talking about the Wuthering Heights movie. It's on my notes, but it's been getting mixed reviews. And I really, I love Wuthering Heights. Let me just clarify with that. When I heard that they were making a Wuthering Heights movie, I was very excited. But when I saw the cast, I was not. Margot Robbie definitely gives me the main female character vibes. Was it Jacob Elordi? He doesn't give me Heathcliff vibes. He just didn't seem to fit, other than the fact that there is a difference in the ethnicity of the character. I always imagine Heathcliff to be this really large, heavy set man, kind of how they described him. And that's just not what you're getting right now. And so that has been a little bit frustrating, honestly. I wanted more, and honestly, it didn't really give me what I thought it was. Jacob Elordi. It didn't really give me what I thought it was. So for the casting of Catherine, love Margot Robbie. For the casting of Heathcliff, not not really feeling it at all. I'm looking at the casting and it seems like it is a little diverse or whatever, but once again, the main casting still stays to be kind of whitewashed. And I understand people's frustrations with that. You know, the character isn't supposed to be black. I believe the character is supposed to be Indian or something. And I always feel like what's done to one minority is done to all of us, and the whitewashing of that character is not okay, specifically because he just doesn't fit the vibe. Like, he really, truly just doesn't fit the vibe. When I've imagined Heathcliff in my head, I've never seen anyone that looks like Jacob Elordi at all. So I understand their frustrations. Um, what else do we have? All right, we do have some previews that came up, some trailers. One of the trailers is the Bachelorette. They're both related, by the way. One of the trailers is the Bachelorette kind of teaser, which I love. I love the red dress. I love the commentary about her whole old life. I love the background of them mentioning all of the things that she's been talked about, that's been talked about her on social media, the scandals that she's been involved in, and the playful way that they're playing with some of the worst things in her life. I enjoy, because the worst things in your life may feel like they make you up, but they don't define you. You're not the worst things that have ever happened in your life. You are so much more than that. And being able to take a step back and see that, I love that. I love that that was being shown. And while we get that, we also get the Secret Life of Mormon Wives. Wow. Preview. I can't wait to watch this. And they're releasing 2 weeks a week apart from each other. I believe 10 days apart from each other, something like that. And guys, I've been talking about covering The Bachelorette for a while. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this recap show was The Bachelorette. Hopefully I get to watch it with my mom. I don't know though, because timing and getting it on a podcast and trying to get it out in a time for you guys to be able to hear it is a little difficult sometimes, so I might not be able to. Me and my mom might just have to have a phone call and discuss it. We've done that for The Masked Singer and shows like that. But I every season, so at first I wanted to watch The Secret Life of Mormon Wives because I've been following Taylor Frankie Paul for this entire thing. I think it's just Taylor Frankie. But I didn't really do it. I saw the first episode and I was like, I'm not really feeling this. And then something about it said, no, you need to continue. And the way that I devoured that season, I also think I watched it right after I found out that my best friend had committed suicide. And there's some special bond I have with that, because every time I watched that show for a little bit, I didn't feel the sadness that I felt when I when I was watching it. I didn't feel the sadness of my best friend passing away. I really just felt like, oh, I have a nice, cool show to watch. And shows that can do that to me are really amazing. Obviously, it's because you're being distracted by someone else's drama, but you'll hear about reality TV shows and things when people go, it saved my life. And I think that it didn't save my life, but I do think that it saved me. It gave me entertainment. It gave me a weird safe space to exist in when I got the worst news of my life. And I've been very, very committed to the show since. So I am very, extremely excited to get a new season of it. I think that they put the reality back in reality TV. They're just so real. And in a I make mistakes, I fuck up, we're doing dumb shit. And obviously some of the things are going to be scheduled. Some of the things are going to be things that the producer said, hey, maybe we should do this. But a lot of it, the reactions feel real. They're not coming from this place where there are these super rich, amazing people who are connected in society, getting to see how they interact with the world, interacting with them. The episode where they went to, oh, I cannot remember what they went to, like a big Hulu party, I guess we can call it. And they met Khloe Kardashian and Scott Disick, and they were just so excited to meet them. And, they weren't trying to pretend like they were so cool or whatever. They were just like, oh my gosh, it's the Kardashians. And I like that. They're just really green and they just keep it really real. And whether you judge it or you don't judge it or whatever, it's it's still a vibe, and I really appreciate that, and I'm so excited to see The Bachelorette and also see The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives in March. March feels like it's gonna be a good month. I said it, and so you guys are gonna have to deal with that. March feels like it's gonna be a good month. And we're going to leave it at that. Our last little thing is just a little note that Hilary Duff is going on tour. She made her announcement. Her announcement was super cute and took a nod at everything that she's been doing in her life so far. And I love that for her. I love the acknowledgement of growth. Like, these were my periods in life that I really loved, but do they fit me now? No. So it was really cute and I really enjoyed it. Okay. Let's get into Love is Blind. I got notes. I will say this season feels a little bit more genuine than the last season that I watched, which was maybe 2 seasons ago. It does feel a little bit more genuine. I also noticed on Netflix now they're not categorized by seasons, they're categorized by cities or states, which I was like, okay. We did thankfully get a lot less of Nick Lachey and his wife, who is Vanessa. We got a lot less of them. You know, we still get them in the beginning. And let's talk about that part first. The beginning, this OHIO. I'm from Michigan. And it felt like just a big eye roll. Let me clue you guys in as a Michiganian, okay? I said it. Nobody likes Ohio. No little chant is going to make y'all feel extra special. No, thank you. No, we're not here for it. You know what happens when Michiganians go to Ohio? They immediately change their speed. You go past that Michigan sign and you get into Ohio, like, immediate speed change. Cause it's just not about to be a fun vibe. People love Ohio and I love that for you. But that chant was not for me. I was annoyed. I was like, okay, I get it. You're from Ohio. Whoop-de freaking do. Can we get into it? So there's 10 days in this pods, which still seems like crazy to me. I wonder how I would actually be able to make that work. How would I make 10 days in these pods be a thing? Je ne sais. Would I go crazy? I don't know. At boot camp, I was there for a lot longer. So I think I could do 10 days. I feel like 10 days, but 10 days is crazy when you think about the fact that in these 10 days, they're dating these people, they're having these conversations. By the end of these 10 days, if everything works out, they're engaged. 10 days. 10 days. I had my high school sweetheart boyfriend tell me that he loved me in 2 weeks, and everybody thought that was insane. They're getting engaged in 10 days. So who was insane? Sally. It wasn't me. It was still definitely me. But life altering decisions in 10 days is just crazy. Another thing that I did love about this season, though, was that there was a beautiful body diversity in this season. And Love is Blind has gotten flack about how they aren't diverse in their casting, whether it be body types or race or anything in that aspect. And so to see this casting have diversity in body types, have Emma, who had significant scarring on her right arm, be on the show. This just people who look more like normal people. And I know that is something that the viewers of Love is Blind really wanted, and it was beautiful to see that. I also loved the women's bonds in this one. You know, there wasn't any fighting, there wasn't any bitching back and forth or cattiness. If someone made a misstep, it was immediately apologized for and forgiven. There was a beautiful sisterhood and acknowledging that, okay, so we might be dating the same guy, but we don't have to be bitches to each other. We don't have to be mean to each other. We can honor ourselves and respect each other while still existing in this experiment. And that was something beautiful that I love to see. And that was something that was really shown between Kia and Tyler. And it wasn't perfect, obviously, but it was something that made watching the show more enjoyable. Person who loves watching sisterhood, and I love watching women stand true to themselves, because so many times women can be catty and they get into these fights when it comes to relationships with men, and seeing all of these women be there and support them. I honestly wanted to see that more on the male side, and I don't know if it happened more and they just didn't show that because they only have so much time to show us things, but I would have loved to see that on the male side as well, specifically when it came to Kevin, and we'll get into that, don't worry. But specifically when it came to Kevin, I wish there was more support and honesty and truth. Moving on, I feel like we got more couples this time. Again, I haven't watched it in a couple of seasons, but we finished off the pods with 7 engagements. 7 engagements. And then the first thing I noticed once we finished off was that they said 6 couples went to Mexico and 1 couple went to Malibu. And I was like, why that 1 couple go to Malibu? And then I saw that it was Vic and Christine. And I didn't know if it was a job thing or if it was a whatever thing, but I needed an answer. I immediately said in my notes, why were they separated? I need answers. It's Our final couples ended up being Vic and Christine. They were the first to propose. And obviously, when Netflix shows this first to propose group, they're supposed to be like the couple to be. Usually, not always, but they were the first to propose to each other. We also have Devontae and Brittany. We have Mike and Emma, Connor and Bree, Chris and Jessica, Jordan and Amber, and Alex and Ashley. There were a lot of crossovers going in over here, guys. A lot of people were kind of bouncing back and forth, which I loved because enjoy the experiment. I was watching Love Island season 6, and one of the criticisms was if you just coupled up and you didn't get to fully, participate in the experience and the experiment, enjoy it, live it, be happy. And I love seeing so many people really explore their feelings with each person. There were some people who kind of tried to settle in the end. Mike and Emma are one of them. So I am excited to see how they go and that follows, but I did stop mid through mid through episode 5 because I wanted to just do this on the pods and their experience in the pods, and then I want to talk about them outside as a couple more the next time that we cover this. So, my thoughts. First of all, Kevin. Kevin, 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 Kevin. I'm going to give you my petty pet peeve. First of all, I don't like beards. I do not like them. More specifically, I do not like well-groomed beards. And there are some people who just shouldn't grow a beard. My opinion. So when Kevin's beard is all like splotchy right here and it's not fully grown, I'm like, sir. Now, granted, this man was in these pods for 10 days, so we don't know if he was shaving, if he was not shaving. There could be a whole bunch of things, but that's my petty pedestal, and I'm going to stand on that. Outside of that, it was kind of obvious throughout his time in the pods that Kevin had strong negative feelings about himself. You could feel it through the screen. You could feel it when he was talking to Kia and he was saying how, he doesn't have his life together and he doesn't know what he is and he doesn't think that Kia deserves someone like that. And when he was there, you could see him obviously talking down himself and away from Kia, which was really interesting to see. It seems like, if I'm going to be honest, it seems like between Kevin and Kia and Kevin and Tyler, that Kia was someone he was vibing with more, but Tyler was one that challenged him. But he was definitely struggling. He seemed confused. He didn't know what he wanted, and he handled everything poorly. Every time confrontation hit, he reacted poorly to it. Every time someone asked him to be held accountable, he reacted poorly to it. Every time a negative emotion arose, he reacted poorly to it. And it was honestly, I just kind of I wanted to hug him. I wanted to give him a hug and be like, I love yourself, my guy. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know what you're going through. it was frustrating to see his trauma play out and affect the women. But at the same time, I just really wanted to hug him and be like, sir, like, let's join Pure Tifa over here. Let's work on how I can help get you to love yourself more. Let's work through that. But one of the interesting things though is when he went into the meeting with Tyler, which we're gonna talk about, and he's talking to the guys, and this goes to where I'm talking. I wish the guys would have done more. He's talking about how Tyler didn't show up, and then he's talking about Kia, and Kia's not a or whatever. And you see his face just one of the guys just starts looking away while he's talking because they know he messed up. We all know he messed up, and he's just trying to talk himself out of this. He was just not committal. He was not ready to give a commitment. He couldn't make a decision, and it was frustrating to see, but also kind of sad to see. So let's kind of explore his relationships a little bit further. So Kevin was dating Kia and Tyler, and those relationships were just a bit different. Kevin and Kia, they were really amazing together. Kia was amazing in how she handled it, how she spoke about herself, how she was open about him exploring himself, him going through this process. She was very beautiful at how she handled it. She didn't get overtly excited. She didn't go off. She didn't do anything. And this is not to say anything about Tyler, because Tyler was a little bit more assertive. And I love that for both of them, but it seemed as if Kia was kind of the energy that Kevin needed more. But Kevin just couldn't commit, and he was going through things with Tyler, and they felt comfortable together, and their conversation about having kids and loving them as they were, whether they come out as gay or trans or whatever. I love that conversation, and I wish that that was something that could happen more in the African American community. I wish that we were more accepting of our children as they are and not expecting them to be this image that we had created for them when they were born, because that's not fair. You know, people grow, people change, and we have to give space and allow that, especially our kids, because our kids were children, babies, when we imagine this life for them. And no matter how much of a life you imagine for them, they have to be able to live up to those expectations. Another problem that Kevin had with Tyler was that distance, and he kept bringing that up even though she said, hey, look, if distance is the issue and this man is my husband, I'll make it work. And another incident that shows that Kevin just wasn't ready. Kevin just wasn't prepared for a relationship shows that, and he just wasn't confident in himself, was him feeling guilty about if she moved out there. And it almost seemed as if Kevin was looking for excuses to not be with either one of them. And this first came up when he went into the pods with Kia, and he was telling her how much he cares about her and how he's really feeling her the most. And then he goes in with Tyler, and he's kind of giving that vibe. And, he starts doing you're so amazing, you're so beautiful. I love that Tyler was immediately like, no, you're not about to give me this I'm amazing, beautiful speech. I've heard the I'm amazing, beautiful speech. We all have heard the you're so amazing, beautiful speech. And you're not about to do that. And she was very adamant, I want to be chosen. I want to be the top. If I want to be the number one. And that's that. She walks out. She's very devastated. She breathes a little bit. She comes back in. They kind of get it together, and then it goes back and forth between them. And he's still on the fence, and it's one day he feels one person, one day he feels another. Because the next time, he seemed to be a little distant with Kia, and he found that Kia being successful and him not feeling like he was successful was a reason. And I think honestly that he was attracted to the fact that Tyler was demanding. She knew what she wanted. She was assertive. I think that that would have been the downfall of their relationship. But I think that his immediate attraction or maybe fear was to give this person that he feels is in conflict with him right now what they wanted. So that was pretty obvious, but we get into another conversation again and it seems like he's still conflicted. He goes in, he goes talk to Tyler. And once again, this man just kind of goes back and forth. He asks her to be his girlfriend, which would insinuate that, oh, okay, you're not seeing anyone else. They have one day left in the pod, which makes sense. She goes to use the bathroom. She talks to the girl. She gossips. She comes back and he starts flipping the script once again, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Oh, you're a girlfriend. But because she demanded, like, okay, well, you have to let Kia know, which 100% you need to let Kia know. If you're committing to me, then you're not going to be with her. So you have to let her know and not string her along. And that point where he had to make a decision, he was like, no, I can't do it. And he just wasn't ready. And I love that Tyler could see that and she stood up and she's like, no, we're not doing this anymore. If you want me, because you're talking about kids, you're talking about marriage with me, but then you don't know if you love me, you don't know if you want to commit to that, but we have one more day. And like, what do you want to happen? Make a decision. And there was no real effort being put on it. He just kept going back and forth and back and forth. And so she leaves and said, if you want me, you have to show me. I'm not coming back into these pods unless you can find a way to prove to me that we should be together. I don't know how you're going to do it, but you're going to have to find a way. Heard, understood, got the message. Kevin didn't. Kevin did it. Kevin builds himself up and he talks to all the boys and he's like, yeah, 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 it's Tyler, it's Tyler. Never, never even heard what she said about getting a message to him. Not once. So he goes and walks in and she's not there. Did you miss what she said? She said, if you want me, prove it, figure out a way to do it. And the only thing that you did was less than a bare minimum was just show up again. You didn't even try. And then you're upset about it, but you didn't even try. Tyler leaves. Then he's like, Kia was always somebody I was vibing with. He goes back to Kia. Kia leaves. Kia says that he wasn't ready, very eloquently, very soft spoken, hold his hand, but clocked him. Said, I'm choosing myself. You're not ready for a relationship. You shouldn't have been here and you need to figure out how to get your shit together. And that was one of the best moments on Love is Blind ever. One of the best moments on Love is Blind ever. And I'm so happy that we don't have to watch this show and go through this drama between these people, and for them to pretend like they wanted to be there and they really didn't. I'm glad that we're spared that, honestly. I don't want to see that anymore. That's one of the reasons why I stopped. All right, let's talk about Connor and Bree. So, I don't know, Connor and Bree, Connor had a thing going on with him. Connor had a thing going on with Emma. Connor's thing with Emma seemed like his biggest issue was that she wouldn't have kids. So Emma is an Asian woman. She was adopted when she was young. She had these she had these birthmarks on her body and it had a high chance of melanoma. So they removed them and she has significant scarring. And you can tell that there's a lot of things that she feels about her childhood that she has to work through. And I love that she was very open with everybody during this time. And that was one of the things that ended up being the divide between Connor and Emma and their kind of back and forth thing, because he was dating her, he was dating Bree, was that I think that really that he just couldn't accept the fact that she didn't want kids or she wasn't ready. And that was one of the big divides. And honestly, as much as frustrating as that is to see as a woman, I have to respect that if that is where you are in your life, if kids are the thing that you want to have, sure. Does it frustrate me that men automatically assume that women are just bred to be baby makers? Absolutely. Does it frustrate me that men think that they can convince women to have kids? Absolutely. Not. So Connor and Bree, they were really cute. They got into family talk and that got serious really quickly. They had a conversation about how they were each other's number ones. He dropped Emma for Bree and Bree dropped Chris. Although I do want to say that as soon as she broke up with Chris, the backsliding a little bit that she did when she found out that she wasn't his number one either was quite interesting. She's like, "Oh, I need to know who," and started explaining herself was whatever. That's fine. I did love Bree though because Bree is a Michigan alum and U of M strong. U of M strong. Do you hate that when I love that Bree was there for Emma-ish when Connor broke up with Emma, but it was hard to see when she just kind of like sat there. And at that moment, I kind of wanted to be like, Emma, just leave the room. Just leave the room, baby girl. Just leave the room. But they broke up. They broke up with other people for them to get together. They met up. They seemed cute and ecstatic and enthusiastic. And I feel better about the love triangle between Connor, Emma, and Bree, but I don't know how I feel about that completely and totally. All right, we have Chris and Jessica. We didn't really see much of them in the beginning of the episodes. They kind of came in a little bit in the second or the third episode. I didn't understand them as much. I didn't have many strong feelings to say about them honestly, but when they met with each other, they seemed very happy to see each other. Genuinely, they were really very cute and very sweet together. Then we have Jordan and Amber. Jordan is attractive to me. I like a heavier set guy. Also the fact that he can cook and he's very open and honest about it. I love it. I love that he made cookies. It Come to my house, Jordan, anytime you want to cook. I'll be right there. He made food for the boys. He was chilling. But when they got to the reveal, Amber did not look happy at that reveal. Jordan looked thrilled. Amber didn't look so sure. And that was a little like, okay, this might be a problem. This might be a problem in the end, potentially. We'll see how that one goes. Brittany and Devontae, I love Brittany's energy. I loved their kind of energy together. Devontae opening up about losing his father, and then he lost his grandfather during filming. It was heavy, but it was a vulnerability that I appreciated. Even though there was heavier things going on between them, they laughed a lot, and it was really cute to see them together. But the reveal was different. They both kind of seemed a little reserved, and there was kind of like a rut-roll moment when she didn't seem fully attracted to him. And he also made a comment of, I never dated a woman of color, which I was like, sir, you're mixed with something. So what? That was just it was just a weird comment, and I don't, as much as I love them in the pods, I really don't know how I feel about their relationship after that. The comments about race was just, I mean, I guess you don't know until you know, but it was interesting. Speaking of comments about race, Emma went through it. Emma went through it a lot. She also had trouble with Steven. I hated Steven from the moment this man got on my screen. Literally, get this man off my screen. He gives me ick, major ick. Mentalist, he says things because he knows they sound good. And then when she's opening up about her being adopted and her scars, he's not just jotting notes down here and there. He's taking full blown notes. When, sir, you should be listening. Like, what how did this man get on this show? Somebody get him off. Somebody get this man off. And it wasn't just that. It was so he was doing this thing that I see that happens in men a lot sometimes, is when they learn a little bit knowledge about what women are wanting, things like that. Instead of actively doing it and really trying to change, he would push her to open up, and then his vulnerability moments would be kind of weird, kind of sexual, and it was really uncomfortable. So she would open up about her being adopted in really serious moments, and he would open up about his virginity. And then when he was very open about his virginity and Emma wasn't as open about her virginity, she does, who the person who she lost her virginity to might be watching this episode. And you don't want people from home notice, you don't want to bash them on national TV at this point. And him kind of playing, well, I'm being really open with you, but you're not being open with me type thing. She told you that you were adopted and you told her about the time that you lost your virginity and your first kiss. So, and then he kept focusing on the virginity thing and the age and weaponizing the little bits of information that he was giving her to get more vulnerability from her. It was just really weird. And I love that Emma noticed it. I love that she saw it and didn't allow his gaslighting and his pushing to get to her or to derail her. And there were a lot of strong women in this season, and it was really sad to see baby girl Emma struggle. I love Emma. She seems like such a sweetheart. And it was really sad to see her struggle with Steven and her struggle with Connor. But eventually she found it with her and Mike. They he was always a good listener. When she also told, Mike about what was going on, he wrote a little bit, but he was definitely very much he was more attentive. He was more attentive to what she was saying and practicing active listening. Practicing active listening was amazing. They really bonded over their family, their love of their families. They shared letters in scrapbooks. So Emma shared letters from her mom when she was younger, and he shared a scrapbook that his parents had made for him over the years. And he admitted to liking scrapbookings, and I was like, pop off, King. But the weird thing that still kept coming up with Emma was the fact that she wasn't ready to have kids. And the comment that happened a lot with these men that were dating her was, you would make a great mother. You would make a great mother. You would make a great mother. Like, that's the fear, or like that's the reason why women aren't having kids, is because they're afraid that they won't make a great mother. There's so many reasons. Emma mentioned a good one about not knowing her own history and the fact that she had these birthmarks, and that she has to get all of these birthmarks removed from her body, and they created scars, and she doesn't know what her history is, and she doesn't know what she'll pass on to her kids is really important. The idea that, this was the only thing about Steven that I liked was that he didn't pressure her about having a kid, but that just now seems like he was just doing what he thought he should do. But that he talked about adoption, and she seemed a lot more open to the concept of adopting, which I love. She's adopted. She understands that there are people, children in this world that deserve love and unfortunately weren't born into families that could give them love, or something happened and they don't have their parents anymore, and they are just as deserving of love as any kid that you could pop out of your hoo-ha. And that was so beautiful to see. And the fact that the other men just don't get it and they think that they can convince Emma was crazy. Because even in the meetup, you know, Mike mentions again that he thinks that when they're together, she'll see their life together and she could see having kids with him. Like the concept of being with him is the issue why she doesn't want to have kids, ignoring that it's something that she feels based on her own experiences, And that's not something that we can just like play lightly with or pretend. That's something that is real. When they met up, though, it was still a little interesting. He did make a comment about her scar and he said he was prepared for it. He mentioned her race, and in his confessional, he mentioned that, he didn't know that she was going to be Asian. He mentioned to her that he's also never dated outside of his race. And it was just, I don't know. I feel like Emma deserves better. And I don't think that she's going to get it on this show whatsoever. Let's get into Alex and Ashley. I hated them. He was a little corny. They went straight into physical talk. They're definitely going to be the physical couple of this group. They had highly sexual energy from the beginning. It made me feel really awkward, but they did when they met up, they did love touching on each other. It was real gross to me. I was like, get a room, like a real room. Not this room that everybody's looking at you at, but I don't know. I hope that their physical connection and their emphasis on physicality will translate into them having a significant and well-rounded relationship. But I've often noticed that when the relationship is based on the physicalities, that it doesn't really work out. The last group of people, or the last couple, was Vic and Christine. They were the first couple. They were the ones who talked the most to me, and maybe that's just how we were shown, about everything in life. They did a little like trauma bonding, but not in a negative way. Just, it felt very real and it felt very honest. They were so cute together. He wrote her a poem and they just genuinely looked in love. When they met each other, it was cute, it was giddy, and I'm so interested in seeing how they go on further. I think that they might be the it couple. You know how in every season there's one couple? I think that they might be the it couple. I wonder if maybe that's why they sent them off to whatever land, but I love them. First of all, I love that they were interracial, and I love that they didn't make a comment about it, that it didn't matter. I love that they were just so in love and praising and genuine with each other. Note, hint to the other people who kept making comments about the race thing. They were really cute. And they made a comment about, we look like we fit really good together. And they do. They do seem like they will fit really, really, really well together. All right. Thoughts so far. Let's see. Biggest theme of this season, girl power. Having each other's back, standing on business, not allowing these men to dog walk you. I mean, I do feel like Emma losing Connor, she's kind of settling for Mike. And I think that there's something about her that she really just wants to be loved and accepted. And you can kind of see that energy with her. But for the most part, there weren't a lot of people settling. And I love that. I love that the Black women weren't settling, and that made me happy. And it makes me think about Black love. And a lot of people get really mad when I make comments about that, and they think that I'm trying to break up Black love, or I'm trying to bring down Black men. And the truth is that the only way that we can reach a place that Black love can grow and reach its peak beautiful potential is being honest about what it looks like right now, and being honest about the ways that we can improve and get better. And honestly, I would love to have that conversation with someone else if they were willing to have that conversation with me, because I think that there are very valuable things that you can learn from it. But in this season of Love is Blind, black women have had to live in their masculine energy a lot, and that is something that Black men don't always like. But they've had to lead a lot and carry relationships a lot sometimes. And I loved watching how they set an example, how Kia and Tyler both set an example in different ways of what they wouldn't accept. And I love that Tyler came first and kind of gave him the real, and Kia came second and she gave him a more comforting, not as aggressive, not as assertive vibe for him to really, look and evaluate himself and hopefully grow and see that, offering the bare minimum is just not it's not the haps anymore. There is more that you can give in a relationship. And I loved that those two women were not accepting good enough. Watching them say no, watching them choose themselves, that felt beautiful to see. And I know that people are going to make comments about that. I know that people are going to feel a certain type of way about it. And I know that Tyler's probably going to get more flack because Black women who are assertive or viewed as aggressive or speak their mind are also often viewed poorly. But I think both of them offered their own perspectives and both of them were right in their own way. And I loved to see it. What couples do I think are going to make it? I don't know. Honestly, like I said, I feel really strong about Vic and Christine. I don't think Devontae and Brittany are gonna make it. Just from what I've seen, I don't think. This is gonna be really sad to say. I don't think Mike and Emma are gonna make it. I can see Connor and Bree potentially making it. I can see, let's see. I'm trying to go through it. I can see Alex and Ashley not really making it. No. Um, let's Jordan and Amber, maybe. I don't know. I haven't gotten enough feeling of it. Amber seemed a little not happy when she saw Jordan, but maybe that'll change. And Chris and Jessica, potentially, I could see that. I could definitely see that. So I am excited but nervous to see what happens next with the second half of Love is Blind. I know that the first half is always the lovey-dovey half, the half where everybody's falling in love, and the second half is the half where things get real. And one of the biggest conflicts when they're on the honeymoon is always when they do the meetup and everybody comes together and everybody gets to see what these people look like, especially for the people that were in a love triangle, because we have maybe two or three kind of overlapping groups over here. So that should be really exciting. But we'll see. We'll see if Ohio can give me what I want. I don't want the drama. I want to see people truly being in love, working out, and everything like that. If that's not like that, that's why I loved Love is Blind when it first came out, was that I stood by the philosophy and I really wanted to try the experiment because I am attracted to a person's personality and a person's intelligence first. And being able to have that experience where you take all of those aside and you get to really get down deep, that's the whole point of it, is something that I think I personally would really enjoy. But I do also think that it comes down to the questions that you ask. If you're asking baseline questions, if you're asking questions about what's your favorite color, in the beginning, that makes sense. But the questions that you ask have to be questions that are preparing you to see if this person can exist in your life or not. And sometimes on this show, a lot of people go on just because they want the clout and they want the fame and everything. And that doesn't always work out for them. And they don't spend time really trying to get to know the person. They are just trying to find the closest connection to make it through. So I'm interested to see how that is all going to end up. But until then, if I can do both, I will try to cover. I don't even know if we have time to do that. It depends on when they're dropping the episodes. I'm either going to do the second half of Love is Blind or I'm going to do the American Next Top Model documentary. So I think I'm going to sandwich the American Next Top Model documentary in between Love is Blind and then do Love is Blind. So if I'm behind on everything, Sue me. I'm sorry. I'm trying. I really am. But for now, thank you all for watching and listening, and I will see you next time.